And for more insight, we turn to tonight's panel. O'Brien Murray is here. He is a Republican strategist and a co-founder of the New York meeting. Obi, welcome back. Of course, we have Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. And back with us tonight, Ellis Hennigan. He is a columnist for Newsday, a political analyst. He's the voice of Stormy on the hit cartoon series C-Lab 2021. Also the co-author of the new Charlie Crist autobiography, The Party's Over, How the Extreme Right Hijacked the GOP and I Became a Democrat, which hits bookshelves and more likely hits your handheld reader on February 4th. Ellis, welcome back. I want to start with the first question that I asked to Melissa, which is, let's say there's no smoking gun email that directly links Christie to the bridge closure, to the lane closure on the George Washington Bridge. But we find out, let's say the campaign either knew about it or ordered it. Is that just as bad? Is that possibly the end for Chris Christie?
No, absolutely
if we
not.
know that the campaign either knew about it or ordered it?
Campaigns do things very differently than state government at times. The candidate is responsible for it, but if there was no law broken and if it only stops at a manager or a staff, it doesn't impact Christie in that regard of staying in office.
But wait,
the bigger issue here, the bigger issue here is the timing on any of this. This one, they now have till February 4th, whatever, to give the documents in. It's the one time there's actually a date when things can occur, so they know when it's going out there. From here on out, subpoenas will drop, hearings will occur whenever the Democrats in the Assembly want to, and what they're trying to do right now is their own little witch hunt, so to speak, and they're using this as an opportunity. They're using this as an opportunity. The Democrats.
That's what you call an investigation that you don't like.
The Democrats. The Democrats are using this. Come on,
But this is a
when the mayor of Elizabeth
But
says,
this is a U.S. attorney we're talking about.
That's fine.
Chris
God bless
Christie
him.
used to be a U.S. attorney.
Sure.
Listen, yeah. The narrative, by the way, that we're supposed to feel sorry for Chris Christie, I don't think that one's
I didn't say feel sorry for him.
Here's the reality, right? This thing has done some damage already. It hasn't killed him. He still has a political career, and so there's this murky gray period. The problem that Chris Christie has is that he truly is the big man in the middle. And I mean a couple things by that. One is that his political enemies are both on the far right, some of your buddies, and also on the left, right? So the real conservatives don't like him, and the Dems don't like him, and so there's a little bit of a squeeze. And now we've also got a second squeeze, which is the legislature, which of course is, you're right, controlled by Democrats, but they're coming at him with all guns blazing. And then at the same time, this federal prosecutorial investigation is getting deeper and broader, and the subpoenas are going out. And let me tell you, those are the people to worry about.
Whenever your right-hand man is subpoenaed by a U.S. attorney, it's not a good sign of things to come. And so my great friend Obi, for him to refer to this as a witch hunt, I have to agree. What was that? That's an investigation that you don't like? Okay.
The U.S. attorney is doing what is responsible the U.S. attorney to do. I'm not questioning that. What I'm saying is when the Democrats control the Assembly and the Senate, and the Assembly in New York hasn't even gotten involved in it yet, what they're going to start trying to do here, and when they start rolling out the mayor of Elizabeth claiming the DMV was closed, I mean, there's too many things that they're starting to try to do here in the Democratic Party that go too far.
That's a fair point that you, to be fair, also, you have not said that about Darrell Issa in the House of Representatives in all of the investigations going on
I've not
about
defended that
President
100% either.
No, but it's...
And when the mayor of Hoboken wants more money than is left in the federal monies coming in from Sandy, that, again, is an overreach from the mayor of Hoboken claiming that the governor's closing them off.
They can't all be unfair, overreaching.
Right.
That's really what Christie's problem is increasingly becoming. Is that these things are coming in from a lot of directions. You know, maybe this one is exaggerating, or that one has some political motive. But when you have a chorus of 100,
Alice, you have to agree on this one thing. The first weeks it wasn't as big a deal because the DNC was not coordinating the attacks. Now the DNC is coordinating the attacks. But the DNC, how do you think these mayors started coming forward? They came forward because the Democratic Party came forward and worked with them.
Yes. Wait, that's an interesting. No, you don't think that the DNC is behind that?
No, I think take that with Dominic.
Here's what's going on. When you're a bully and you've been a bully for 4 years, you build up a number of enemies. Your enemies at some point are no longer afraid of you. And that is what's happening. People are no longer afraid of Chris Christie. They're saying, let's bring it on, let's take it. And they're coming out of the woodworks to say, listen, they did A, B, C, D. And we agree, at some point, you can say this one's wrong, that one's wrong, this one's making it up. Well, are 15 people making it up?
But the question is, does it stay with his staff or go to Christie? And I'd say it doesn't go to Christie. Yeah. It's the staff that's culpable.
Doesn't it bother you? I mean, as an open-minded, level-headed guy, doesn't it bother you when all that stuff is going on in his office and he pretends no knowledge of any of it?
First off, I don't think any of it is
hard
good.
to believe.
None of it is a positive. I'll agree with you wholeheartedly. I think the question becomes how much of it came from the top and how much was the direction and the MO of that office because of his attitude and where he went, meaning the governor. But the question is...
Certainly not a great description of leadership skills.
The bigger question is...
But he delegates everything. He had no idea.
The subpoenas...
Do you believe these staffers would go to the bathroom unless Christie approved of it?
Oh, yes. You're going way too far in that. What I'm saying is the bigger question here is going to be... The bigger question here is the bigger question here is the testimony. I don't believe the subpoenas are going to show as much. Calling somebody an idiot in an email is not as big a deal. I get called that all the time. Sure.
I've seen some of your emails.
Yeah.
Question for you, Obi. Can Christie turn this to his advantage in Republican circles in particular?
Yes. And I've said this before. I said this on air, and you guys sort of jumped on me that night. I said the more the Democrats come after him and the less that's there, the better it is for him, because it shows he's being vetted.
But why do you keep saying the Democrats when the U.S. attorney is the one
an Obama
that's
appointee?
Okay, but it's
still the Democrats.
Well, wasn't Christie,
what Holder is doing with the Justice Department.
Wasn't Christie a U.S. attorney as well?
The Justice Department is the Democrats.
It happens to be a low-key Democrat. Are you telling me
Holder's not a Democratic appointee who's gone way above and beyond what he should do
but
in the judicial arena?
One thing we know about United States Attorney's Office, particularly a big, serious office like this one in New Jersey. I mean, these people know how to run a criminal investigation. They're gonna go and interview witnesses. They're gonna check phone records and email records, and they're gonna start trying to get people to rat up. And you know what? It's a pretty effective technique.
I've actually said that the Justice Department in New Jersey shouldn't be investigating this. It should be somebody from outside solely, whether we call a special prosecutor or something, because of Christie having worked that office.
Maybe the
there's got to be
RNC can
something
handle it
separate.
for us. What do you say?
Right.
That might be right.
You love going down these. You love going down these rabbit holes of other arguments.
Mr. Priebus could take care of it.
You love hiding these issues.
Let me start to wrap this up, because we heard from the guy from the Star Ledger who said the real issue for Christie at this point may not be 2016, but just finishing out his term in Trenton. Gut feeling right now from everything that you've heard, we know there's no smoking gun yet, but you think he's finishing out his term?
Of course. No question about it.
So he's not going to be elected president?
I'm not even going that far yet. I've always said that along. And Ellis brought up a great point about the far right not being behind him yet. And I think that issue you'll talk about a little later with your book maybe. But the hug from Obama is a big issue.
I'd say from day one, the question is whether or not he finishes his term. Presidential campaign is over. He may get out there and campaign, but his ambition to be the next president of the United States is not going to happen. He may survive if there's no smoking gun.
Ellis?
These guys are both smarter than I am. I don't. I mean, how do you know? How can you say, of course, he's going to survive? How can you say he's in the campaign? Listen, this is politics. Crazy stuff happens. We're lying if we say we know.
Very
the primary calendar.
Heck if I know.
What are you doing here?
The new, Andrew, the new primary calendar they put out today in the RNC that they agreed with actually is a big boon to Christie, because if he can raise the money early and be strong there early on, by February, the March,
reason why I can say it is Christie wasn't liked before all of this happened.
All right. We will hear more on this coming up.
It's a fun story, though. You got to admit.
It keeps getting more fun.
It's a fun story.
Up next, the GOP and social issues. Like my relationship with dessert, we love them. They do not love us. Case in point, at least today's case in point, Mike Huckabee. Who better than a former Republican governor and ordained minister to talk about women's libidos? That is next on RFL.